In progress.
I want to compare, or I should say, contrast how society treats murderers depending on their gender. This young lady shook her baby to death and she's getting off scot-free. This young man was abused till he finally had a mental breakdown and went on a shooting spree, and society wants to throw him behind bars forever. That's the contrast. It's not just a huge difference, it's night and day, black and white between these two people. Now we'll start with the young fellas first. This guy's name, Demetrios, who allegedly killed 8 of his classmates, is still not competent to stand trial. Right. He was ordered by a judge to remain at a mental health facility for 12 months as a doctor's attempt to restore his competency. They're trying to make him competent so they can throw him behind bars to be tortured. That's what it is. They want to torture this young man, and he's too mentally unstable to be held accountable. So they want him to be held accountable so they could torture him. That's what prisons are for men. There's no comparison between men's prisons and women's. Women's prisons are simply places to remove hostile individuals from society so they can't do harm. Men's prisons are there to torture the men. Trust me. At the end of the year, he will be reevaluated, right? Demetrios was first ruled incompetent in 2019, 18 months after the Santa Fe High School massacre. This is the third time the court has extended his hospital stay. Okay, if they've done it for the third time, he's obviously deranged, and he shouldn't be behind bars he shouldn't be in a prison. He should be in a hospital. Put him into, the nut house. His defense had initially argued that his mental health deteriorated during his time in prison, of course, because like I said, prison is torture for men. So of course it deteriorated. Demetrios was hospitalized after several medical evaluations found him mentally unfit for trial, according to the outlet. Of course, because he must have went through shit ton of abuse before he went nuts and went on a shooting spree. This was obviously not the news we wanted to hear, and we share the family's frustration in this continuous delay. Really, these families should be working to get over this. This is a tragedy that's happened to them, but they want blood from this young man. They want his blood. Will we continue to monitor the defendant's status and treatment? We remain committed to seeing this case tried and seeing that justice is done. How's justice going to be done? This young man went nuts because of abuse, right? Now, let's read a little bit more. Look, his classmates described him as strange and a loner. So this guy wasn't socially adept, and no doubt he was punished continually for that. But there were no major red flags raised that led to others believe that the former honor student, wow, and footballer had murderous intentions. Right. Of course, there's no major red flags because men know that their abuse is a part of life, that people don't care about men's issues. So they keep going on and going on until they reach a breaking point and go nuts. His father claimed his son was a good boy and blamed the shooting on bullying that he said the teenager experienced. Yeah. You guys, you must have heard of all those bullying campaigns. Bullying campaigns don't work because the purpose is to tell the boys to know their place around the girls. That's what bullying campaigns are about. Because you notice they've never done anything for boys getting bullied in real life. Now, here's another thing. Demetrios was charged in federal court for the shooting. However, details of the case are sealed given his age at the time. Under Texas law, however, he's considered an adult. Yeah, notice there's always this struggle, right? Like, for one thing, the state should get their act together and make a choice of what the age is, of adulthood is. But you ever notice if it's a young girl spreading her legs for an older guy, she's a child. If the young boy goes ballistic and kills someone, they want to consider him an adult. That's how it works. Okay. Now we'll contrast with how they treated this mother. The mother has been spared jail for killing her 10-week-old daughter 6 days after the girl was discharged into her parents' care against the advice of the healthcare professionals. Notice these healthcare professionals have no power when it comes to the woman owning the child. It's her child. It's not a person. It's property owned by this person. May as well be a slave. And if she wants to kill the child, that's her business. Now, her child, Lily Mae, suffered 18 rib fractures, a leg fracture, and a fatal head injury at the hands of Laura St. George, 25, hours after the home visit from the social worker. She shook this baby to pieces out of anger. And notice the social worker doesn't affect it in any positive way, because the social workers are feminist indoctrinated, and their business is to attack men and let the women do whatever they want with the children. Now, St. George was suffering from postnatal depression when she violently shook Lily Mae. Postnatal depression is a horseshit term that the healthcare industry made up to let women off the hook. You know, you guys know it, like this school shooter here, this young man, he'll be used as a representative of young men everywhere. Yet all these, they have so many babies are murdered by their mothers that they actually have a term for it. And yet no one considers mothers harmful to children. It's always an individual thing when it happens. And it's always made to let them off the hook. Of course, the poor baby died, right? Now pauses. This is how the judge works to let them off the hook. However, her mother, was found guilty of the charge of infanticide instead of murder and manslaughter. The charge is an alternative to murder, where the mother kills her child while her mind is disturbed by a failure to recover from the effects of childbirth. See, it was created to let women murder their children. And this young man, when his mental stability or instability, that is not going to allow him a free ride. They're going to destroy him. Do you see how it works? Now look at the judge. Following the verdict, the judge adjourned sentencing St. George till September 9th to allow for a report to be prepared for probation service. Oh, wow, she's going to get probation. But he told her that any prison sentence would be suspended, as she had already suffered and continues to suffer. So she shook her baby to death out of anger, and she is suffering, right? Yet this guy who was abused to the point where he went ballistic, he's not giving that, is he? He's not getting a free ride. They're going to punish him, like I said. This is disgusting. And look how paralyzed the whole system is to stop mothers from destroying their child. Teresa Ferguson, a social worker with the Family Services, was allocated to the case after concerns were raised over the parents' ability to care for Lily Mae. Like they could see what was coming. And she was assigned to the case. Didn't change anything, did it? And despite their misgivings, they allowed Lily Mae to be sent home with close contact with social services. Wow, that's disgusting. On the same day, Ms. Ferguson made a referral for a legal gateway meeting, one of the options available to social services to take steps to intervene for care of the baby. But she went on annual leave the following day. To describe this timing as unfortunate is perhaps to understate the position. You know why she went on leave? Because she never cared about the child in the first place. Social services aren't about the children. They're about giving the woman what they want. And she said, "Oh, well, I'm concerned for this child, but what are you going to do? Time for me to go on vacation." So, I mean, this is absolutely disgusting. So, like I said, the whole point of this video is that when women commit murder, society just says, well, who cares? Time to set her free. Poor baby, she has suffered. And when guys commit murder, they don't want to just destroy him. They don't. I think sending him to the electric chair or, murdering him would be the kinder thing to do. But what they want to is to ship him a lifetime of prison where he'll be tortured the whole time. That's the contrast. There's society really should be ashamed of itself if it was capable of being ashamed. Goodbye, everyone.